the Eagles got robbed. I thought they got screwed there at the end of the game. You're telling me that's the only holding penalty in the entire game? That's ridiculous. After Juju had been mugged on a play earlier in the game where it looked like pass interference and they let it go. And I thought that set the standard for the game. All right, we're gonna have a nice physical football game. We're gonna let these guys play it out on the field. And this is the analogy I made on the air today, Bob. Like, if it was one of those old school Big East games in the Garden for a Big East championship, you used to go to those games all the time. They'd let those guys pretty much fight each other on the court. If they then call in the final minute a ticky-tack foul on a drive, everybody would be like, what are you doing? That's not Big East basketball. You can't call that in that situation. And that's how I felt about this game. Like, you've established, people say letter of the law. Well, the law in this game was that those types of plays did not get called. And you know when you throw the flag there, you end the game, and that's why I had such a huge problem with it.
Yeah, and to cite what you said earlier, Juju Smith-Schuster was more animated the first time it happened in the middle of the field, and I thought that was a more flagrant call that they chose not to call.
Agreed.
And none of it was called. So then in that moment, you're going to make that call. I mean, I'm sorry. I don't care if it was the right call. I don't care if James Bradbury said he did it. I don't care. Because it shouldn't have been called, period. How many guys would have told you, actually, I committed a foul early in the game, but they didn't call it? Who cares what he says? Who cares what anyone says? That was the wrong time, and it didn't necessarily result in a win for Kansas City because of. What it denied Philadelphia was a chance to get the ball, and they had scored on 2 of 3 possessions also in the second half. Who knows what would have happened if Jalen Hurts has an opportunity to get in the field goal range and maybe overtime. To me, a great football game was tarnished at the end, and it did not have the ending I was so anticipating.
Me too. And let me say this about Juju. He looked like he was going to be a guy at halftime when he had one catch for like 5 yards, that we were going to look at his impact on the Super Bowl and say it was negligible. His signing did not really do that much for the Chiefs. Is he going to go into free agency, and what is he going to get? I thought he earned himself a lot of money in the second half. They weren't spectacular plays, but he got open, and he was the dependable Juju Smith-Schuster that Steelers fans have come to know. Never a star. It was a guy that had a lot of big plays because of Antonio Brown in the confines of that offense. But, Bob, number 2 wide receivers get paid. You know, I got into an argument with Mueller about this today. If Hunter Renfrow is worth $16 million and Deontay Johnson is worth $18 million a year, you can't tell me that Juju's any worse than those guys. I'm sorry. He's gotten it done in a big game now. And he's still young. He's only 26 years old.
Yep.
With the way that wide receivers get paid in the NFL, I think that's going to go along. I wouldn't be surprised if Kansas City brought him back with a considerable raise next year, Bob.
I wouldn't be surprised either. And the other thing, he did get a $1 million bonus, so congratulations for him. He probably didn't expect to get over 50% of the plays, and they won, so he got what he had to get. We got to take a break here. We'll come back. A lot of people want to talk, Andrew, so we're going to get right to the phone calls when we come back. A lot of components of this game. And Pitt gets disrespected again. I guess it really doesn't matter in the polls, but to me, you got to answer the question, why are they 29th in the country when they beat 5 teams ranked in the top 25? Go figure. We'll talk about it next, right here on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.